Hi, this is No Ordinary Voice of Spiritual Ventriloquism. You are listening to the dummy himself. Well, been a week or so, I imagine, since I've done a video. I'd like to do this video today on the subject of concubinage. I've had questions. There's been a lot of discussion around this subject as of recently through what you say, social media, whatnot. And I was even asked personally by a person about concubinage or about, the legalities of concubinage. Well, first of all, before we go into anything, I want to make sure that we understand this, that concubinage, or the term concubinage, at its genesis was it was a social, relational situation. It was born out of servitude, generally applied to female servants that the master would have interest in to become intimately involved, maybe make it a part of his kingdom building process, as they say. Expand. In my Father's house there are many places and many dwelling places. So the larger the village, the more influence and the more economy that comes into that village. So anyway, originally in the Iron Age, Bronze Age periods, that was a very, logical practice, and we even practice that still to this day. Wealthy people have maids, and usually it's not too long before that maid or something is drawn into the orbit of the master of that house or the man of that house, and those two become intimately involved. It is just a natural evolution of things. Not to say that it has to be that way, but that just happens, and it's not unusual, and neither is it, unchristian. What do you say? But anyway, originally it was a subject that was born out of servitude. And one thing we also have to remember is that a concubine, though she is in effect, she is a man's wife, she does not have the same, legal status. A child has not the same legal status as his father, as his mother. A woman has not the same legal status. There's no de jure right by right equality amongst any social classes in any social construct. Now, the Romans and the Greeks have tried to say that ain't so through, equal rights and, child liberation and things like that, which, is just utterly ridiculous. But ultimately, it's a concubine does not have same status. Now, over the period of time, obviously, the definition of concubinage has expanded to include divorcees, women maybe that have children or have been married before. Let's see, whatever, single women, older women, whatever. So the roles have expanded, and it's gone beyond that of servitude. But the basic premise of that is that regardless, and even Pastor brought up a couple of weeks ago in a message about Sarah and Hagar, there is a subordinate role that is played in a relational status. Well, the question that I had, and just to finish this off, is that yes, there has been a natural evolution of things in the role of concubinage, what it means, its definitions, but it just like automobiles or women's hygiene products, they didn't have those things back in those days. Moses didn't envision corporate America in those days, so there has to be some allowances for evolution where it fits, where it's proper, and to make accommodations for modern times, because if we're going to live like Moses lived, then, obviously we would live better like the Cherokees or the Apaches or whatever, rather than like, Europeans. But anyway, the question was, if a woman had to receive a bill of divorcement, and where no contract exists, there is no real formal exit from that agreement. In other words, things are down to words and a handshake, and the obvious implications of that as far as concubinage is concerned, it's kind of what you say, cash and carry basis. I hate to put it in those terms, but really and truly that's what it is. And and you can even take this back to his Genesis, in the book of Genesis, Reuben had gone up to his father's concubine. Obviously we're only hearing one side of that story too. We don't know how he was egged on, or if he was egged on. It's all a matter of speculation. But nonetheless, Reuben, he, transgressed his father. He dishonored his father by laying with his father's concubine. Now, under Torah, if that had been a contractual wife, she would have been killed. But there is no death penalty for a concubine who, strays away from her boyfriend or husband or whatever, master, in that case. A good example of that is Judges 19, where the Levite, he had a concubine, and it actually explicitly says that she went out and played the harlot on him. And so he sent her away. Basically, she ended up going back to her father's house. And then after a while, I guess he started to miss her, and for whatever reason, there was enough in the man's heart that he wanted to reconcile. Which, again, that's, that would never happen generally in a contractual marriage. As a matter of fact, somebody would have, or a couple people would have been, executed for that type of trespass. But there's no punishment that was invoked here in either Reuben's case, or other than the fact that he lost his right as firstborn to take the tribal inheritance. And justifiably so. Well, anyway, the case in Judges 19, he goes back and he takes her, and we know the rest of the story about a whole entire tribe of Israel almost lost their lives over the treatment of a man's concubine. So in a sense, we still have a situation where, a man is able to take vengeance for the way his concubine is dealt with. So, in a sense, it still has this property connotation, whereas, a formal wife is usually kind of like a, what you say, a right arm, so to speak. She doesn't have a de jure equality status with the man, but she does have rights, and her rights exceed that of a servant or a concubine who might have lost an eye or something, that they should be set free for their eye's sake. It goes on down the line. Well, anyway, my answer is that, if you've been abandoned, or, basically it was kind of like a drive-by situation, or, you've been abandoned from a relationship, there's no requirement for a non-contracted woman to go through any legal process, whether it's within or without of Israel, to obtain, what do you say, freedom, or, to become unbound. Like I said before, concubinage is kind of like a cash and carry basis, which that is going to make a lot of sense, for some, especially for a woman, to, sit there and think things out before they decide to enter into a concubinal relationship. Is that what you really want? Is that what you're looking for? You may not even have a woman, a wife, because many men take concubines before they take wives. Nothing wrong with that. So anyway, just to just give you a recap on on concubinage or that subject is that one, it was something that was originally born out of servitude. And that over the process of time, it evolved to expand into more social situations such as divorced women, women with children, charity work, whatever. There's all kinds of reasons that a man would take a woman to be a wife, and or a concubine, either one. So, but anyway, no, there's no requirement for a non-contracted person under Torah to have a document or something like that, So, I just told the person, just be at peace, and just be at peace and go on and serve Yah because, you're not going to chase somebody down around the country anyway, are you? Yeah, I wouldn't. So, anyway, that's just a little, a little bit on the subject of concubinage and the difference between then and today. And, concubinage is very silent even amongst the Jews. They don't talk about that subject at all very much. So it's something that does need to be discussed and something that does need to be defined because without parameters and borders surrounding any subject, you're going to get off into a realm of social experimentation, which, in my opinion, is counterproductive to the the goals of an individual or of the nation of Israel. So anyway, if you have any comments, you can leave them below. Have a good day.